Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to our community call from GIG on the make-a-thek project. Maybe some of you know of the project. It's a recently won EU Horizon project that aims to integrate makerspaces at libraries in Europe through the network of libraries in Europe with a focus on fashion and sustainability. This is in a nutshell. As part of this project, we will be hosting a series of community calls on different topics that are related to this general umbrella. And this is the second call that we're hosting under this series. And today we're going to be talking about heritage craft and sustainability, or circularity. So thank you so much for joining. I hope this call is beneficial for you. And we're very happy to see so many people tuning in from different parts of the world. I personally did not expect it. So this is really amazing. We have with us today very amazing speakers and hosts, co-facilitators. I'm going to start with our hosts. We have with us from the European Crafts Alliance Network, Laura and Rachel, who will be introducing themselves briefly at the start of this call, and will be co-facilitating with me today because I'd really love to learn more about their network and get their perspective also on the topic. We have also with us Natalia Vitter from Ukraine, who will be speaking to us about her makerspace and pottery work. Let me read actually exactly what Natalia Vitter does. Natalia Vitter is a ceramicist and a journalist, founder of the Potter Vitter Studio near Kiev, Ukraine. Welcome, Natalia. Very excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining in these times. And then we have with us Saleh Mahmoud, a GIG member and a former manager of the Innovation Hub in Mosul, Iraq. Saleh is currently working with the International Trade Center on sustainable and green construction projects in Iraq. And I'm very excited about your presentation, Saleh, talking about traditional architecture and sustainability and what it means during the modern times. So what a quite an interesting group of people. With this, I'm going to hand over to Laura and then maybe Rachel, just if you could start the conversation by introducing yourself and putting a little bit of context to why you're here today.
Sure thing. Thanks, Fadia. I'll actually speak, but I'm also joined by my colleague Laura, who's our Secretary General, and it's really nice to also see some of our close colleagues here, especially the team from MAD in Europe who've joined today. So hi to all of you, and hello to all the giggers and all of the libraries and our project partners. So yes, we're the European Crafts Alliance. As Fadia mentioned, we're a network. We're a European-based network specifically. We have almost 40 member organizations from more than 20 different European countries. And we're, of course, one of the partners on the make-a-thek project alongside GIG and many others. So yeah, our core focus is on the promotion of crafts as an integral part of cultural, social, and economic well-being. We do this mostly through facilitating knowledge sharing, growth, preservation, and the valorization of crafts in their various forms. So this is quite vast. But from the perspective of craft, not only as a diverse form of cultural heritage, but also considering craft as a way of thinking and doing, and therefore offering innovative and unique solutions to today's problems, and within the context of Europe, often to sort of European policy priorities, etc. A lot of this happens through different projects and programs that we're involved in. So I won't dive into all of them, but they focus on themes such as sustainability and circularity, which we'll obviously be discussing today, particularly in the context of the new economy, small business and entrepreneurship development. We look a lot at the preservation and the innovation of both the soft and the hard skills that are related to crafts and their parallel interest groups, and also very much about how craft can facilitate social inclusion and strengthen participation and democracy, because it is so linked to culture and creativity and history. So yeah, we're very glad to be here today and to be part of this project. And we look forward to hearing from our speakers and having a discussion about heritage crafts. So that's it from us for now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Rachel, Laura, would you like to say something, or should we hand over to our speakers?
Well, just say hello to everyone, and I'm really happy to be here and to share more knowledge about the crafts world.
Beautiful. It's so lovely to have you both with us today. So
Thank you.
amazing. With this, I will hand over to our next speaker, Natalia. We'd love to start with you today. So maybe if you can just go ahead and introduce yourself, give us a context on what you do and why are you on this call today? Like which scope you would be interested in tackling.
Hi everyone, hi from Ukraine. Thank you for inviting. I'm so happy to be here. I'm for the first time taking part in such a call, and I'm just one of representative of pottery school here in Ukraine, and Vyshhorod is the oldest pottery center in Ukraine. But I'm here due to the war, which now unfortunately is going on. And I'm initially from the Donbass, from the Donetsk region, where I started pottery and journalism. And today I would like to share my experience how to combine these two professions and to make some good impact during the war.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Natalia. Sola, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here today. I'm coming from Iraq, from Mosul, where it's the city. It's very famous in the trade and the craft, and most of the family's name is coming from the crafts that their grandfathers were practicing in old days. And after the war happening here in the city and the destroy of different sites here, it's there was an opportunity to rebuild in a way that using like craft people to bring the standards of the heritage within the destroy that's happened to the city. So today we will talk a little bit about the city and also about the symbolic places in the city and how craft and sustainability was part of this rebuild.
Beautiful. Amazing. I'm already very excited and I feel like we shouldn't let our audience wait no more. So maybe Salah, since you're already on it, can you start by telling us more about what you mean by traditional architecture and maybe tackling the question of circularity and sustainability as you do so?
Yeah, of course. Maybe you can allow me to share a presentation so people can a little bit see some live pictures here.
Done. You can do it. Can you try?
Yes, I'm trying.
Did you swap displays?
So do you see the?
See the speaker's view. No.
Oh,
Now it's
yeah.
perfect.
Please
Okay.
go ahead.
Great. So you see, this is the first footage is from one of the street in the old city, and you see how much is this street is narrow. So today I will talk through this presentation about like the traditional architecture and the craft methods in Mosul that reflect centuries of sustainabilities practices and also part of the identity of the people living in the city. So you can see here, this is a house. It's more than 150 years ago. It's built and it has a lot of stories. At the same time, it's designed in a way to ensure that people can live in such houses without accessibility to electricity. At the same time, big families that they have can a social part within the structure of the design of the house. And also there is different a practical way that can protect people's living in these houses from being getting affected to the very high heat or very high cold like weathers. So one of the first things I want to talk about is that this is mainly called like an Islamic architecture in the Middle East part of the world. where you can see, like, this is the drone footage. You can see like the street are not straight, and that provide shading for other houses. And also, like, one house, like the block itself can be considered as a one unit of building. So it's to provide extra insulation for the all houses. And also from like the Islamic perspective elements, it's also provide kind of privacy for people, even like walking in the streets, because of the curves like throughout all the city. And you can see like most of these houses have like a courtyard like in the middle of these houses, and that was providing a place for airflow that can balance, let's say, the weather of these houses. You can see also like the material that we're using in such houses. It has a lot of art that give like good feeling for people, and also provide a different jobs for craftsmen to work on these very beautiful details of the work. At the same time, the material they're using, it's a material, it's natural material, and these natural materials has less effect on the environment because of the processing. It's the processing cycle of this material is very short. Also, the transportation of this material cycle is very short, and also the reflection factor and the insulation factor of this material is very good. And you can see like for Mosul, because of the war, like many of it is like symbolic and heritage landmark were destroyed, like An-Nouri Mosque and the Tahira Church and other places. And there is a project, for example, by UNESCO to rebuild these places, and these places were very important for all the communities inside the city. So when UNESCO people and other engineers came to rebuild the city, they discovered that there is a huge gap in the craftsmen who are able to rebuild these places with the natural and with the original materials, and also having the same accuracy and resolution of the art that were provided before. So they took a step to start bringing the smart, like, or the brilliant craftsmen, and start like a training their people who are involved in this reconstruction. And that's creating jobs, and also it's a start like kind of marketing again for this type of architecture, where many like traditional places and houses start to rebuild their and reconstruct their constructions using these methods. So you can see in this photo, like, this is totally handmade stone, like tower base that used and repaired to be used in one of the old houses in the Mosul city. And that's also like if you know like Manarat Hadba, I want to show you just this is the Manarat Hadba, one of the highest like Manarat in the city. And when they rebuilt it, they used like the recycled stone, the same stone that was built by this Manarat Hadba before the destroy of this Manarat and bomb it by ISIS. They collected, and then they bring also craftsmen to put it in a group, and then reuse it to construct the Manarat Hadba. And it was reconstructed fully like 2 months ago. One of the very interested questions here also is how to use like all these different like heritage architecture, sustainability, let's say, tools and materials and method into modern houses, where modern houses, maybe we are facing like lack of land in Mosul because of the price of the having land in well placed and good place with infrastructure, and also how to understand the family's requirement of this time, and also bringing this practical and sustainable practices. So there is a huge area to involve between these two things, And what I'm doing now in my work in the International Trade Center, and also with Bilal Ghalib, like another Giger guy, we're trying to develop like a material for 5 days to introduce architect on a green and sustainable architecture practices. And also we are designing a competition for all that architect to design like a modern house using these sustainable practices from the old and Islamic way of building in the same city. So it's all localized solution for the local community. And you can see like after this movement, then some people start like practicing like just for as a job, like I work with heritage like a craft that can provide different material for the people. And this is a real photo like from this man. And this man now having 2 shops in the old city of the Mosul who are selling these type of materials. And I will conclude here, like a craft reconnect people with the places because they have like a special things about places, and especially when it's connected to the houses and the places people will visit, and also open a job opportunity by training people on vocational, and also having like people adapt to that way of building things and developing things. And also it's a preservation for intergeneration knowledge, because one of the things that war trying, like ISIS tried to do with the Moslawis, like they tried to remove their identity, and then when all these heritage places reconstructed, people they feel that they are more belonging to this land, and that is their identity. So as I mentioned, this case study of recycling material into new forms from Hadba Manarat, and the competition that we are trying to do to bring this element into modern architecture, I will conclude here and ready for all your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saleh, so much for the presentation. Very, very inspiring. And I very quick remark before we hand over to Natalia. I like how you use therapeutic and healing within the conversation. So this is a very interesting perspective that we'll go back to it. And one more remark is intergenerational knowledge is the losing of this kind of knowledge, I think, is a threat and is a problem that is faced not just in Mosul or in the Middle East region, but in all around the world. It's almost a conversation happening in every local indigenous community. So I'd be very interested to also maybe talk further about that and how we can preserve this very valuable knowledge instead of reinventing the wheel. Thank you very much. And we'll be back again with Saleh. I'm sure many of you have so many questions, but I'm more curious that we hear the full, like have our speakers introduce their work first, and then we could open the discussion. Also because it's so interesting now that we're going to go from Mosul, a place that has been struggling with conflict for so long, and now we're going to go over to Ukraine and also see another reality that has affected the world almost, and see what Natalia is doing and why is it important during these times. So Natalia, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Fadia, and thank you, Salih. Nice to meet you here. I would like also to share my presentation if possible, and it also has some sounds. I hope you could enjoy it.
Yes, it works. Yeah,
so,
please.
I try to. Please let me know if it's okay.
Yes, we can see it.
Is it okay? So, hi, I'm a founder of Potter Studio. It's based in...
Do you want to show your slides as presentation view?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
And then you can start again.
Yes, sorry. Is it now okay?
Yes, we now see the presentation view.
So hi again. I'm from Vyshhorod. It's near the Kiev, Ukraine. And I would like to share some key facts about me and these things I'm now doing here. So I'm based in Vyshhorod. It's an ancient city with an ancient history. For example, we have an old pottery kiln in age of more than 1,000 years here. And basically, I'm from Donbass and I'm a journalist by education and my main profession. And I'm exploring ceramics since 2013. And unfortunately, the war forced me to flee twice. The first one was after my studio in Donetsk was damaged in 2014. And I now rebuilt it in 2018 here near the Kiev, where we settled with my family and 2 kids. And then another time, due to the Russian full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, I moved with my children to Slovakia, and then I started to do some art therapy for refugees in refugee center. And there, I decided to use this practice here in Ukraine when I back here, but to give something more. And now I would like to share my idea and the project we already doing. My roots is from Bakhmut. Maybe you heard about this city from news. It's totally destroyed for now, but in that city, on the river Bakhmut, on the banks of the river Bakhmut, I found my first clay and started to do my so-called pottery and sculpting. But now you can see the city before the full-scale invasion, my hometown, and after and now. And what was the beginning? Once being in Donetsk region, I was preparing some article about eco-settlements in Donbass. And then I knew about some permaculture and using crafts and some reducing from harmful products and so on. And this idea was so interesting and I was so inspired that I found some studio in Donetsk and started my pottery study. And also I was looking some more sustainable spheres I can be useful, like journalist or like potter. Because, for example, in our Donbass, it's the eastern part of Ukraine, the industry was 78% ecologically harmful. I mean, metallurgy, coal mining, and chemical production. So it was very useful to reinvent something to help people think another way. So, and when I settled in Vyshhorod, I started to make my own pottery, but I wanted to use some key points to make my hand-built ceramics sustainable and to share my knowledge with people surrounding me, because there were lots of people internally displaced as my family, and I wanted to help them to to recover after this war-affected experience. And so now you see on your screens the kiln I found here in Vyshhorod in the museum. It's more than 1,000 years. And looking at this kiln, I was thinking about combining some traditional art crafts and some new approaches. And then I made my pottery studio using recycling materials, for example, reusing clay, and to use energy efficient firing while I was producing my ceramics. And now, for now, this is the products you can see on your screens, which is as a result of my foundings. For example, you can see candle holders. I found such candle holders in Donbass and here in local museums. So I use some references. And also you can see on your right corner the plate, which I produce with using leather from another workshop's waste to make it sustainable. And before the war, I also used to organize some eco picnics for families in our forests near Vyshgrad to pay attention of people and local authorities to the problem of destroying the forests. So our event was called Lisolipka instead of Lisapilka. It's such a playing with words. That means to sculpt with clay instead of cutting down the forest. And lots of families joined us during the weekends. And the thing is that I propose them to find some tools in the forest and use them to tools for making their pottery. So now you can see the process. And during the war, I started some clay bell events. So it's the art therapy events, which I dedicated to mental health recovery. As you know, the war is still going on, and there are more than 10 million people here in Ukraine needed the mental health support. It's not only the army defenders, it's also civilians, internally displaced people, and families who are war affected. And I was thinking after my returning from the Slovakia, how I can be useful here in Ukraine. Once I came to my friend, he is a musician, and told him this idea. And I heard he were playing with his instruments made from waste. And we tried to collaborate, and as you can see, more than 700 people took part in our events. Now I would like to share the idea. So the idea is in a symbiosis of pottery craft and music. So this project, Clay Bell, shows that clay is not only a material for tableware and your craft decor, and it also can be a vibrant substance that can help you to, it can be a tool of culture and mental recovery. We use light, we use sound, we use plants, and everything for people to help their recovery and to improvisate, to use the improvisation. Here is the Andre. Almost all the instruments he made by himself, he crafted by himself. So the sounds that Andre used during our workshops sounds natural, some sort of rain, some sort of wind, and so on. And you can also now hear how it goes. And here is. So Andre, together with clay, we use some nut peels, beer cups, and all plastic subway tokens, and also some parts from children's toys to make musical instruments. So thank you for listening. And also I continue on my work with children to help them rethink the craft, the pottery craft. The key point to share with them my experience and try to make things not only like exhibition objects, but things they will be using in their homes, in their lives, and so on. For example, it's some lamps, some tableware, and I let them all their need for their creativity. Thank you for watching. If you have some questions, be free to ask. I'm open. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natalia. This is amazing, very inspiring, and very beautiful. Just watching the imagery is so soothing. And again, it's amazing how this whole traditional craft is leading us to this concept of healing community, and how much more sense it's making even during times of turbulence or conflict. I have personally many questions, but I want to stop here and hand over maybe to Rachel. Maybe Rachel, if you want to share some reflections, questions, and tell us how do you feel seeing this, and where does it resonate with the ECA's work?
Yeah, maybe Laura would also like to chime in too, but I'll start off just to say thank you to both of you for sharing your stories and these histories and these crafts that are in these days and these times. We are seeing a disappearance of a lot of heritage craft practices, and there is a big struggle for survival around the world for these more traditional acts of making and this traditional knowledge to be passed on. So it's always just wonderful to hear from craftspeople or those working in research around it, what people are doing to keep these practices alive. And often people ask the question of why keep them alive? You know, there's new modern technologies. What's the point? Why, if we're constantly innovating, why don't we just focus on what's fast or what's easy or what's seemingly or misconstrued as being the most efficient? But everybody will have a different perspective on that. But maybe from the ECA, and maybe Laura can also chime in on this, but it's so important to always focus on diversity and avoiding homogenization of everything, not just within crafts or cultural practices, but really looking at how we can keep unique identities and cultural heritage alive, because they all contain their own schools of knowledge and their own unique applications that can not only solve problems or societal problems that we might not even be aware of yet, but also indeed to keep the sort of the culture and the identity of people engaged, particularly Natalia, with what you were saying, how it acts as a tool for healing, for people to work with their hands, to have the power to shape clay and to create something when you maybe feel disempowered or lost within it. And when we lose all of these unique cultural assets and this diverse range and ways of making and thinking, we lose in a little way what it is to also be very human. So I think it's very powerful what you are both doing, and thank you for sharing your stories. I do have a lot of questions too. Laura, I don't know if you want to add anything before I jump into some questions.
Yeah, just I thank you very much to both of you, because I think it's as Rachel said, very inspiring. I just have a reflection, and it's I see how important crafts are, and in two extreme situations as the both wars and the destruction, how such a bad thing brings so much good things. So, and it's devastating that it needs to happen something like this, so that we can appreciate the crafts, the creativity, and all these what these processes create, and how creativity wakes up in these situations, and we always say like a sense and craft is going to save the world. Maybe it's too ambitious, but there is a part of truth in it, because you see that in these situations and other extreme situations, also during, I mean, it's not comparable, but during COVID, also creativity and crafts were there, and people got into crafts, into creativity, into trying to use things that they had at home to produce and to do to entertain themselves and sometimes to produce something useful. And this is so much related also to mental health, as you said, Natalia. This is so important that people need also to be active in these fields. And I have also like a question, or like how we become sustainable and circular in these situations as well, because we need to reuse what we have there. So in Mosul, they were building up with the material that was destroyed, and they were just building it up or restoring it. So because they didn't have access to new material probably, and they were just reusing. And this shows how important circularity is, and how much it can bring if you have the tools and the knowledge and the skills to just revert that. Sorry, it's just a reflection, but I will leave the floor to the others to also contribute and ask questions.
Can I ask a quick question? Yeah, so I guess it's for both of you, but Saleh, in particular, I'm just curious to hear about the heritage craft skills are passed along within the context of Iraq. So often in crafts, it's very much between a master craftsperson who will train close in their community or their family through apprenticeship models. But with modern adaptations and access to all kinds of technologies and new forms of education, do you find in Iraq that these skills and the knowledge are being lost at all? Are there challenges to find enough craftspeople, for example, with these traditional skills and knowledge to rebuild or to contribute to these heritage buildings? If my question isn't clear, also just let me know.
Yeah, actually, it's a clear question and good one. Like before the having access to very cheap blocks, let's say, and very modern, not sustainable practices. Many people were like craft people, and they know how to do things by their hands, and even that there is families, they have the family names from their craft, so even they educate all of their new generation on that craft, because it's a revenue stream for the people and jobs for those people. But because of the instability and because of having an alternative solution that's usually like manufactured in mass production with cheaper price in all aspects, so that put a pressure more pressure on the craftsmen. And also when after the liberation of the city, when trying to bring like those talented people to use their skills even as a trainers, or to just to know from them, because something is not written about like crafts, and you need people to show it to you and to do it in front of you so you can get that experience. So it was totally difficult experience, like searching for a long time just to get one person who can do these things with this accuracy, with this beauty, and also in a practical way that can you make sure that it is safe for use and all of that. So it's not something easy, it's difficult. And I think if it not was the war, like and the reconstruction, that putting pressure on all of us to look for such people and such profiles, those profiles will disappear by the time, and we didn't realize that those people are disappearing.
Thank you. Yes, and I mean, even out of the context of conflict zones, these skills are disappearing, just in all countries around the world, because there's not really this motivation or always the ability to pass these skills on. So there are quite a lot of projects running. make-a-thek is sort of slightly involved in that, but there are a lot of other European projects that are very much about trying to capture and preserve and create repositories of these skills so that they can be passed on to future generations, but also in new and innovative ways. And I don't know if I'm jumping ahead a bit here, but some of our colleagues here are particularly knowledgeable about this. So if later on the people from Mad in Europe would like to talk about that, please. But Natalia, I'm not sure if you wanted to jump in there. I wasn't sure if you had your hand raised, sorry.
I want just to add maybe something to share experience here from Ukraine, how to keep this heritage. Unfortunately, due to the war, we still losing lots of our heritage here, but we also have some support from the US Europe Union to keep this knowledge and to share this experience. I mean, even here in Vyshhorod, we have some collaboration with our local pottery museum to organize some classes, to organize some exhibitions, and to help people study these approaches and this culture to make it sustainable.
Yes, and sorry, I'll just add a last comment to that, that we often find that really advanced modern technologies can often be used to capture these. So using things like virtual reality, for example, capturing the movements, the actions of craft, so that people can then engage with it and access it in the future through new technology. So this is quite an interesting intersection between the traditional and the heritage, but then something very new and innovative that makes use of technology, and maybe also makes craft in some ways more appealing to younger generations to be involved if they do tend more towards, you know, modern technologies and then not so interested in working with their hands, etc. So that's very interesting. But Fadia, sorry, you were about to speak.
Oh, absolutely. I think, yeah, it's amazing. I hope my voice is clear. I had to change location just also for those who don't know. I'm attending the FAB 25, but I still was very keen on hosting the call today. So thank you so much. I just wanted to suggest that we open the floor a little bit also for audience. So maybe if anyone have questions, please go ahead, unmute yourself or raise your hand. Okay. So maybe also if someone from the audience would like to come in telling us why they're here today, why are they interested in the topic of circular design and heritage craft? Because I would also love to know. Today we have such an impressive crowd, so I just wonder what brings you here. It's a very particular topic, I would say.
Maybe can I just, maybe it's not so relevant, but I was catched by the slide that Natalia shared about the kiln, this very old kiln. Have you tried to use it, or is it can it be restored in a way? Do you know?
Thank you, Laura, for your question. Unfortunately, for now, it needs some repairings. So it doesn't work. We didn't use it. And for now, during the war, I hope that we will find some resources to rebuild it. But it's very nice that still it exists. And we can just not only look at it, but also maybe find some secrets.
That will be really great. That will be really great. Let us know, because I think this is interesting to follow up if there has been a way to build it up, because this is similar to what is happening in Mosul, like restoring the past, these buildings and devices that we already had.
Anna, go ahead, please.
Thank you. And thank you both so much, Sally and Natalia. I'm afraid I arrived a bit late, so I missed the start of your presentation, Sally, but I'll catch that up on the recording. I was just reflecting on what Rachel, what you were just saying about how the bringing in elements of new technology can sometimes make some of these more traditional approaches more attractive to the younger generations. And of course, you know, for them to live, they have to be attractive to the younger generations. And I'm curious about the attitudes that you're finding to you know, among many people, but particularly younger people, in your two different situations, Sally and then Natalia. If you could just reflect on that a bit. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, because the modern technology is kind of providing incentive, sometimes in a price or in accessibility for people or on know-how for people, especially when it's coming to the construction. And also like some of the practical, sustainable, like ancient practices, it's need more personal effort from people to get it. So that's also like making kind of challenge for new generation and to adapt to these practices. For example, we used to build our houses in the villages outside the Mosul using like thick wall of muds. It's the typical Ashurian style. But now even people in villages start using like this traditional block because for that Ashurian style, they need to retreat like the cover, the plaster every year. And usually it's by mud and other natural materials, and women are leading this process in houses. And now it's a little bit difficult for them to do it every year, so are shifting to a new technologies in construction.
Thank you so much. Kirsty, I don't know, are you, did you raise your hand or was I imagining this? No? Okay. Yeah, what a shame to hear about some of these methods that are so amazing and survived for hundreds, if not thousands of years, if you're talking about the Ashurians. And I mean, it's a shame, but also what can we do in the face of this? Like, obviously people are ditching these old and traditional methods because of several reasons. Some of them might be practicality, right? In an age where speed is prioritized and convenience is the main goal. I mean, this is a general question, not for someone, but this is, I think, is a recurrent problem. What do you do in the face of this? Like, there is the preservation element that is done to preserve heritage and art and have Mosul as part of like a museum city because it's such an amazing historical city. But there's also the practicality of it. Like I understand when renovation happens for the reasons of preserving the culture. But how can we make sure that traditional crafts are actually relevant in the modern world? It's not done only for recreational purposes, if that makes sense. And maybe this question, I don't know, for any, Natalia, please go ahead.
I can only say from my point of view, and talking about pottery, for example, how it can interact people and young people, for example, and it's very hard to be competitive in the times of ChatGPT and AI and Minecraft. But as one of the boys during our workshop said that, oh, it's a miracle because I can create everything I dream about, but in Minecraft I still can't because it's only virtual world. So I think that when we use some digitalization, some tools to digitalize this heritage and to make it more interactive to young people, to other, it still can be alive. And for example, I from my own experience, I saw that elder people, they just very struggle to touch, for touches, for natural materials, to contact them, to create something, because for them it's some sort of nostalgia, you know. But for young people, as I've said before, it's the miracle. It's some material they can use, reuse, and to make things they dream about, maybe.
What a beautiful perspective. It really does require then prioritizing from governments and people to understand why it's important to put this extra effort and resources into preserving craft. And I think this is what's lacking in the mindset. There is so much narratives around progression and modernity, and this is what governments everywhere in the world are prioritizing, because maybe there's a lack of understanding of why these crafts are so important. Thank you so much. We have Kirsty and then Laura. Kirsty, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thanks, Ali and Natalia. Super interesting. It was really inspiring listening to both of you. Yeah, I mean, to your question, in the permaculture, construction essentially is one of the key domains. And I mean, there the narrative really comes from the principles, from the ethics of living with the earth, and in this context, working with what you have in each locality. And this also relates then to building infrastructures, which in many cases then is clay and straw and water essentially that we build with. And there is it's quite upcoming now, since there's such a big regeneration narrative. I think this really finds attention there. And also from another perspective, with the argument of maintainability, sustainability, economically speaking, because if you build with local materials that you just have on your land, eventually, or in your environment, where you can also often work with materials that you trade, because one person's garbage, so to say, is another person. No, we build a lot as well with materials that are just not of use to other people in the neighborhood or so on. So I think there's a strong upcoming narrative what concerns the working with nature, with your environment, using the materials, but also the economic benefit that actually does have.
Yes, I mean, it feels like it's a return to setting up our values and ethics straight, right? Like it often comes down to that. I think it's a bigger conversation on how do we collectively redefine our priorities and values in the world. Laura.
To the question, I think that we need to preserve traditional crafts, basically because it is what we are. It's where we come from. We need to understand how things were made, so that we can preserve them, and also that we can value them. We need to value what crafts is, the effort that is there, the skills, the knowledge, the years of learning, the expert hand that is behind that. So I think this is very important to keep in mind. And also another thing that I wanted to add is that we don't need to, or let's say it in another way, we are losing some things, which is natural to lose. That is progress. And we don't need to feel bad about it. If we lose that part of some trades or some crafts that is not adding any value to the end product, and that what we can do thanks to technology in a better and more efficient way that is not harming our hands or our health. So this means progress, and this is good, but we don't need to do everything by hand like it was done before. So this is like, we need to accept these innovations, and we don't need to cry about losing them, but we need to preserve all those that bring value into it. So I think this is very important to make this difference. And yeah, I give the floor to Regina.
Thank you, Laura. I totally agree with what you say. I think the most important thing is to remember that today technology is a key element that we can use to actually reduce the impact. For example, on physical work, we have machines that can do something that maybe our backs won't be able to hold, but we will keep doing the same technique, but without harming ourselves, going maybe faster sometimes. And it's also a way to incorporate our new techniques, our talking about more the era we're living in, with what they used to do before and how they used to do it before. Because I think it's incredible, this architecture, for example, that lasts forever. Well, lasts forever in a way. And these techniques are also part of our heritage, and we have to keep it. And our collaboration with architects, between crafts and architects, can bring this back in a modern way. So for example, I recall the ChatGPT thing that you were saying, Natalia. It's in fact, totally that you cannot use it in your favor in a way, because ChatGPT won't create a ceramic for you. But you can maybe get to the mathematics if you have to do mathematics in an easier way, and then put it in practice with your hard skills, which is all the handwork. So I think that's a good way of seeing it, and it's key to preserve it. So yeah, that's it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Regina, Laura, for your input. And I feel as we come to the end of the call, we're almost done. But I feel like I would like to also bring in this point that was mentioned in all your presentations today, but specifically you, Saleh. You mentioned that when there was ISIS destroying these amazing old places, a part of the reason why they attacked us was an erasure of culture and cultural identity. And I think that's another thing that is not included in the conversation. I wonder, why is it important? Why is it important to preserve our cultural identity, and how does craft and heritage craft really ties into that? And then again, this is a question to all of you. Maybe if someone would like to answer, please go ahead.
Thank you, Fadia, for this question. From my point of view, keeping in mind where you came from, what are your roots. For example, for me, my family, who was twice replaced, it's very necessary now to keep going, you know. And now, due to the war, we feel the real value of our heritage. And now this idea united, you know, Ukrainians all over their heritage, all over their identity, our identity, my identity. And from 2022, from the February, from the terrible day, I think that we finally become unity with clear understanding who we are and the way we are different from our enemy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Natalia. It's very, very moving to have you with us on the call and to hear you present that perspective so openly. So thank you. Saleh.
Yeah, I think in war, it's not normal. So sometimes there is people are targeted. Sometimes your relatives, your family are dead because of the war. And sometimes there is some specific places because it's reflecting an ancient place of the city. They are targeted just to remove the identity of the city. So when there is war, you are considered as an enemy for, I don't know, someone who is part of this war. So when it's after war, people want to heal from that, want to express their self, want to say words that at that time of the war, they cannot say it because that maybe put them in a position to be damaged. So then there is an opportunity for culture and psychological healing by doing this craft, by rebuilding these things just exactly in the same way that was built before. So that is very important for people to express themselves in peaceful way and in a way that reflecting them and healing them. Thank you.
It's almost like the circularity in heritage craft is not just on circular economy, but on like the full cycle, from the story of where we come from to holding on as a group around what makes us a group, that cultural element, to healing together in so many places and in post-conflict places afterwards. So it's like, it's very poetic for me personally to just hear you talk about this. And connecting to heritage craft is not just about the technology and the technique itself, but there is so much that is folded within this process and folded within this work, and that I can only hope would be seen by the wider world and saved. And maybe on this we can end, but maybe Rachel, if you have like something, you or Laura, of course, if you, from a perspective of 40 organizations in your network that are concerned with specifically Crafts Alliance, I wonder if you have something to say to that, like you coming in to to preserve that part of tradition and of work in general. Maybe if you have some last words you'd like to share with us before we end today.
I'm not sure if Laura was going to speak. No? Okay. Yeah, well, I just want to say thank you very much to GIG for hosting the call, firstly, and to both of the speakers for sharing today, sharing your stories, and also keeping crafts alive, because you are doing the good work. I did share in the chat, just to show you, the red list of endangered crafts, which is, as I said, it's specific to the UK, but it just gives you a little bit of a picture of how hugely diverse crafts are, and how specific they are to identities and to the heritage of different cultures and countries. So it's quite nice to explore that, because you really see how specific it can be. And within every country and every region around the world, there are different crafts that are being lost on a daily basis. And yeah, the question is, maybe they don't all need to be saved. It depends on the communities and the cultures and what they want to do with it. But it's really important to keep these things alive, for people as a whole globally. So yeah, amongst the European Crafts Alliance, within the work we're doing in the project, we're always trying to find a bit of a balance between this kind of emphasizing for younger generations to appreciate crafts for what they are, to slow down, to learn from them and to find value and meaning in them. But at the same time, to also look, okay, how can this benefit the economy? What's the use of them? What's the value of them? How can we introduce new technologies to preserve? So it's a balancing act, but I think that amongst this community here today and the different projects that we're all involved in, hopefully we can all keep these heritage crafts alive, and find the meaning and the value that they add to our lives, on a daily basis. So Laura, I don't know if you want to chime in at all, but just thank you so much, everybody, for joining. It was great to see you all. And we hope to have more conversations like this in the future. It was very interesting for us.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for making it. I know we have so many non-GIG members involved in the call. If you want to get more notifications of these community calls, maybe sign into our newsletter. I think it's a good way to be posted on what's happening. We'll keep you posted. We'll be hosting more of these calls for next month and the month after. So thank you very much, and see you on the next call. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so
Bye
much.
bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Ciao.